Hi, friends. Scott Brookins here. Got a question for you. Do you ever think of things from your past in regret, or think of things that maybe you wish you wouldn't have done, or things you would have done differently? I know I have, and our subconscious hangs on to those, or the enemy brings those up to us, and we need to stop that. It's a battle. Um, but it's something that I've been working on for quite a while, over my adult life, or certainly through our ministry. And I want to share a couple of things today that I think have helped me, and I hope they'll help you, because, the past is the past. We have today. We're not guaranteed we have tomorrow. And so we need to focus on where we're at right now, where God has us, in mind for us today, and that's where our focus needs to be. I want to share a couple verses out of the book of Joshua. In the Old Testament, the story of the Israelites being in slaves in Egypt, and then God calling Moses, and basically Moses leading the people out of Egypt, out of captivity, through all the miracles that God provided. And then it got to the point where God was going to say, send the Israelites to the promised land. And so he told Moses to take 12 men, one of each of the tribes. There's 12 tribes of Israel. Take 12 representatives, send them into the promised land in Canaan, and scope it out, scout it out. And so these 12 men went there, spent a couple days spying and kind of seeing what the land was like. And they came back to Moses and the people of Israel, and 10 of those men were petrified. They were scared. They didn't believe God's promises that this was the land he was giving them. And so they told the people, we cannot go there. The people are giants. They have walls. They have cities. They're bigger than we are. And basically they were scared to go. Now, two of the men, Joshua and Caleb, believed God. And they said, it's great. It's full of, it's prosperous land. It's full of milk and honey. That's where God wants us to go. Let's go. But the people voted, and they went with the 10. And because of that and their disobedience to God, God said, your generation will never see the promised land. So for 40 more years, they traveled around in the desert until that generation died off. And then they were getting ready then to get into that promised land. Moses had disobeyed God also in another episode. And so he was told, you will not see the promised land. And so in the book of Joshua, in the first chapter, it says in verse 2, Moses, God is talking here to Joshua. It says, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now then, to Joshua, he says, now then, you and your people will get ready to cross the Jordan River, the land I am about to give you. So I love that. And this is the older NIV version where it says, now then. Because in other versions, it'll say, therefore. But God is talking to Joshua and said, Moses did great work. He was a man that I called. He's gone. Now then, this is what I want you to do. And so he's saying the past is done. He did his job. Now, Joshua, today, it's your job. And so throughout the next few verses, several times, I think it's 3 or 4 times, in verse 6, God says, be strong and courageous. In verse 7, be strong and very courageous. And then in verse 9, which is probably one of the most famous verses from the book of Joshua, God says, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. So God wants us to be strong and courageous. And so I want to encourage us today to focus on today. Not yesterday, not all the junk that happened in our lives, the regrets we have, that the enemy brings back up, or our subconscious brings back up. Forget that. There's nothing we can do about it except for to learn from it, but apply it for today. We can't focus on tomorrow too much because we don't know what tomorrow will bring. We can make our plans and structure, but our job is to focus today on what God is calling us to do. And so I just want you to be strong and courageous, because now then, yesterday is gone, last month is gone, last year is gone. Now then, this is what we are to do. Focus on today, be strong, and courageous and go serve the Lord where He's called you to be. Now, I hope you have an amazing day and go inspire someone else to do the same. God bless.